Ready? Okay, it is now 5:02. Welcome to a special, today is Thursday, February 25th. It is now 5:02. Welcome to a special board meeting for the Calexico Unified School District. Janet, item A1, call to order.
Trustees present this evening are Trustee Ciro Calderon, Trustee Lorenzo Calderon Jr., Trustee Alvarado, and Trustee Magallanes, with Trustee Romero absent. You have a quorum.
Thank you, Janet. Item A2, Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand up. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item B, comments from the public. The vote will take any and all comments from the public related to the sole items on the agenda. Janet, do we have any comments?
We do have a total of 19 public comments submitted. Some will be zooming in to address you, and some I will be reading out.
Thank you. And just remember that these comments from the public, they are allotted 3 minutes each. Okay? So what we do for one, we do for everybody else.
Mr. President, can I make a suggestion? The ones that are ready to go, could we listen to them first, and then the ones that I think Janet could, fill in after that?
If they are waiting in the Zoom schedule meeting, if they're waiting in the waiting room, let's do them first. Thank you.
If Eddie can bring them on, please, they should be waiting.
Yes, we're connected. We have in attendance Ms. Badillo and Ms. Magallanes. Do you want me to bring in Ms. Badillo first?
Yes, whoever was here first.
I'm bringing in Ms. Badillo. Ms. Badillo, feel free to unmute your microphone now, and you're on. Javier, if you could please turn on the camera. Thank you very much. That's Ms. Badillo and Ms. Magallanes. Do you want me to bring in Ms. Badillo first?
Yes, whoever was here first.
I'm bringing in Ms. Badillo. Ms. Badillo, feel free to unmute your microphone now, and you're on. Javier, if you could please turn on the camera. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, esteemed board members, parents, and Calexico faculty and staff. I hope you're having a wonderful afternoon. Thank you. Yes, I am unmuted.
It's just repeating itself.
Good afternoon, esteemed board members, parents, and Calexico faculty and staff. I hope you're having a wonderful afternoon. I believe that there's a delay, but I'll continue. I have worked as a teacher for many, many years in the Calexico Unified School District. Thank you. I currently provide English instruction for students in kindergarten through 6th grades at Mains Elementary. I'm extremely concerned that we as a district are contemplating returning to in-person instruction without having all of the necessary safeguards in place to protect our students, faculty, and staff members, and our community as a whole. We recently have been allocated 66 vaccines for 1,300 employees. The limitations imposed by availability of the vaccine make it unsafe for us to return without that protection. It's like sending a soldier in to war without any type of protection for himself and those around him. I honestly appeal to your better judgment that we not return until we that work directly with the first groups to go back in the elementary schools receive both doses of the vaccine and have finished with their waiting periods. Our population of students travel to and from Calexico and Mexicali and can be exposed to not only the COVID-19 virus, but also to the already reported variants that have been found across the border and in our neighboring communities. Please keep in mind that we are not an isolated community and that local social media has already provided ample proof that the environment for adults crossing the border to come to work is not ideal. We have already sacrificed so much as a community to come back before we are truly ready to do so. I thank our district and leadership, our ACT union, and our community for keeping us all safe. Thank you so much for your time and consideration. Isaura Vadillo.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you, Mrs. Saura. Thank you.
For any other attendees, I think Ms. Vadillo had the live stream on, and that's why we were hearing some feedback. So for any other members, please, if you have the stream on, please put it on mute so that doesn't happen again. Sorry for the inconvenience. Now I'm bringing up Ms. Magallanes, Mrs. Carla Magallanes. Give me 1 second. Go ahead, Ms. Magallanes. You're on. Feel free to unmute yourself, and the board can hear you and see you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, board members, parents, and community. Today's topic is very important, and I'm very concerned about it because we need to place students' safety first. Learning cannot take place if we do not provide an environment where students and their families run the risk of getting COVID if we open without proper precautions. I know we're working together to ensure we have the necessary PPE to open schools. We are following social distancing in our classrooms. We're also in the process of adding air purifiers to the classroom's AC units, if I'm not mistaken. Educators in the community are also waiting or have received their COVID vaccine as well. So I think we are taking the necessary steps to open schools safely until this is completed. Yes, I hope our board members make the safest decisions for our students and are following all the necessary steps to open schools so we don't run the risk of losing a student, staff, or a student's family member. Let's think about safety. This is what matters most. I lost a parent recently due to COVID, and it is very painful. I hope we continue taking care of each other by making the best decisions for our students and our community as a whole. Thank you for your time. Please ensure student safety first. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Magallanes.
you very much, Ms. Magallanes. Besides Ms. Magallanes, we only have Mr. John Pearl, but I don't think he was listed in the public comment section.
So is this it?
So I'm gonna continue to read them, the rest of them.
For Zoom comments, that's it, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Janet, would you be so kind as to read the rest of the comments, please?
Yes, first one is by Mr. Ivan Alvarado. We all want to be back to normal, but as of right now, it is not possible. There are other districts opening soon, but they are also more advanced in the vaccination process. So I asked you to advocate for us to ensure we get enough for teachers and staff as soon as possible. I usually get sick by the flu during the cold weather, but not this year. We all know being in an enclosed room with children, we get exposed to germs. bacteria, and viruses. Imagine now with the coronavirus. You need to provide a safe environment to all of us. Also, our students are getting exposed to other students and might put their own family at risk. One whole family got recently infected and lost a family member, and I just heard of another student, elementary level, who was tested for presenting symptoms. If you feel the need to open schools soon, just because you think it will be safe for us, then I encourage you to have all future board meetings in person, applying the same safety measurements you want teachers to follow and will be in place at that time. Opening the boardroom for public to attend, all of you in front of the room, having seats available, and all of this in an enclosed room with no ventilation, just we, teachers, would be exposed to. If you feel we will be okay, then you will also be okay. Next comment is from Norma Alvarado. Greetings. I am a kindergarten teacher at Cesar Chavez Elementary, and I have great concerns in regards to the reopening and in-person instruction of our elementary schools. I understand that CUSD is working to assure the safety of all parties involved in in-person instruction. My concern is in regards to the procedures to assure the safety of teachers and students in the case of a positive COVID-19 case in our classrooms, schools. I fear there will be an outbreak in our classrooms or schools and the damage that a COVID-19 outbreak could cause our families. Like many certified and classified staff, I have family living with me that will certainly be exposed by such scenario. On top of an outbreak, there are also the COVID-19 variants that are spreading across our state. It is my concern that the lack of knowledge of the potency of these variants should be taken into consideration when deciding the reopening of CUSD and the safety of teachers, staff, and students. The monetary state incentives to reopen schools are high, but that should not be the reason to expose teachers, staff, and students to such a dangerous virus. It has also been mentioned to CUSD staff that the heads of our district and administration want teachers and staff to not stress, not be anxious, and that our safety is of the utmost importance. I want this to be true because deciding to reopen and implementing in-person instruction will certainly place me in higher risk of catching COVID-19. Next comment is from Laurie Black. It is imperative that we get our students back to in-person instruction. I know that we, as educators, have seen how distance learning has negatively affected our students with their learning, academics.
Janet, can you say the last name one more time?
Laurie Black. B-L-E-K. I know that we as educators have seen how distance learning has negatively affected our students with their learning / academics and their social emotional health. Yes. She states, it is imperative that we get our students back to in-person instruction. I know that we as educators have seen how distance learning has negatively affected our students with their learning / academics and their social emotional health.
Thank you.
Next comment is by Francisco Gonzalez. Dear respected CUSD board members, I would like to express a few personal words, and I hope that these words find a space in your ears and more so in your hearts. I have been working in this teaching profession for over 16 years, and it is now more than ever that I feel the need to express my concerns. This pandemic has brought me sad moments. Both of my parents and my youngest brother got the virus, but fortunately they survived and they are doing well. My family and I have been following all the suggestions said by the experts, and thankfully we haven't gotten the virus yet. I'm one of those teachers that arrive to my class early and leave after passing my contract hours and some weekends too. I believe I'm a dedicated teacher, and I also believe I'm representing my school district with pride. Nevertheless, these past days, I have been hearing about districts wanting to reopen schools, and this brings a concern. I would like to ask you to please consider the safety of our students and teachers, more so teachers due to our age and according to the information that we know about the virus. I honestly believe that we should have the vaccine offered and the waiting period for the vaccine to be effective before reopening schools. It is a safety concern and maybe for some of us a survivor concern. Also, I would like to ask you to be vigilant with the sanitation and cleaning of the classrooms. I have experience in at least 2 schools that I have worked for, the poor and far below standard expectations of sanitation and cleaning of our classrooms. It is an embarrassing issue, but because of our situation with this pandemic, that I want to express this issue. The next one is by Ricky Guzman. As a teacher, parent, coach, college professor, and father, I express deep sympathy for any loss due to COVID and any other health-related illnesses since the start of COVID. Today, deaths this year are no larger than most years in the past decade, but the flu numbers have been literally eradicated. And although my concern is for every student, of course, and whoever they will come in contact with as they head home daily should we return to school, I primarily would like to ask that athletes be given the option to stay online even if we do return to hybrid classes. I ask this because, like any law that is passed, none in education or the streets will be perfect due to one thing: human will. You will find that children of all ages will have trouble seeing their friends for the first time in over a year and being expected to stay 6 feet apart. Thus, this could lead to an outbreak, but I don't foresee that due to the changes in PCR testing made days after the presidential election. Hence, false positives will no longer be likely. I think it would be unfortunate if an athlete who will be required to follow certain ludicrous guidelines while playing a sport would have to quarantine because of being exposed to someone in the classroom. This is an option at many private schools, so perhaps we should start to think outside the box here. Whether it is a private school or public school, mental health should be the #1 concern, and let's be honest to this point, that has not been the case in most of California. Secondly, ADA is the same as last year, and lastly, opening schools just means more money for the school. Not that it will help with the raise in any way, which most other local districts got, even through the COVID-19 times. We as a district have been saving on utilities, subs, bus transportation, athletics, teacher training and expenditures, after-school programs, cafeteria food. I'll stop there. We are quite near the numbers that allow us just about open without restrictions. Oh, the bad one. Last week, the numbers went backwards in terms of positives and recoveries, according to county numbers from Friday to Monday. It is literally a miracle. Sarcasm. So I hope if you do decide to open that you consider one thing, that you do not close schools if an outbreak occurs, because that would do more harm to kids, especially younger ones. I would rather you keep them closed and buy and hand out some equipment for kids to do PE at home. Let's be clear, the average death is well over 70 years old, almost half in nursing homes. I know there are some 20 kids in Rady's hospitals with awful lung conditions. But a child has a greater chance of dying in a car accident on his way to school than he does from COVID. Let that sink in. For a district that has lots of loose ends year after year with policies and procedures, you certainly have all of a sudden cared about following the rules when it comes to athletics and education. And say that because 2 years ago we had every 9th grade student in our district pass the 9th grade physical fitness test, which is almost mathematically impossible. Probably more mathematically impossible to get COVID from someone who is asymptomatic, which I'll let you do the research on the science. Back to my point. Aside from past bamboozling from our district, is that many schools have started using facilities for athletic practices, and Calexico all of a sudden is trying to be a model institution sticking to the county. With all due respect, we have board members and a superintendent whose kids attend other districts. All of a sudden, we are trying to be a model institution, or is it a CYA thing? As they say, only in Calexico. Where we do and love to say it's what's best for kids, while we continuously washing our hands with the same kids. I know the circumstances are dire and you guys hold heavy seats. Perhaps promoting mental health using a bylaw, which we are so good at doing as a district, to outlaw outlaw Senate Bill 419 from our district. And lastly, placing a heavy importance, particularly on physical education, health and well-being should be a bigger part of our students' daily education. Almost 90% of students who go to college go to IVC, where I am a part-time health teacher, and our college readiness rate from graduates is in the 30th percentile. So I ask that you be that change. I don't have all the answers, but you all have earned the community's trust. We are all born without pre-existing conditions. The diabetes and CVD process starts in schools. Over 50% of kids will leave school obese. Sadly, almost 1/4 are obese before they enter school. I challenge you to study Naperville High School model in the early 2000s. I pray each one of you can be that change, because the reality is unfortunately this. Most who died because of COVID never had a fighting chance once COVID was loose. Make note of many lawsuits hitting districts all over California. Don't think parents here won't do the same. I could have gave you tons and tons of articles about COVID outside of the 99.97% survival rate without a vaccine, and why ventilators fail people. PCR cultures over 35 having 0% accuracy, what meds help early, vitamins to help combat COVID, the harm of barotrauma to the lungs.
What was his name?
Ricky Guzman. He's almost done. It's just one more sentence. If some don't want to, they have a choice to stay home. That is the beauty of our country, that we have a choice for now. It's your turn to make a choice for Calexico kids. Best of luck to you, all of you, moving forward. He quoted a biblical verse that I won't quote. Ricky Guzman. $419, I think it was, $419. Next one is from Diana Lowry. I feel, Lowry, Lowrie. Diana is the first name. Ready? I feel this is a decision that does imply many people to take safety, responsibility, and care as a priority. The district should communicate clearly with admin, staff, parents, and students the guidelines, new protocols, and daily procedures that will need to be followed if we were to return to in-person teaching. If this is not done with meticulous care and expertise at every point, people in our communities may continue to die as a result of this move. I will feel much appreciated if I was able to return vaccinated and during its wait period didn't set any major side effects on me. Plus, I do take care of my parent, who is considered a high risk, and I don't want to risk him. I already experienced a family member death as a result of COVID-19 and was in her early 40s. I feel anxious knowing I may need to return to work and may expose myself to this virus. I consider it is deemed more safe to continue staying at home. Thank you. Next one is from Francisco Castro. Though everyone would like a return to normal, I do not believe we should return to in-person instruction just yet. The school year is almost over. Why return at only 25% capacity for a couple of months? I believe the schools should remain closed until next school year, when most of the public would have had a chance to be vaccinated and all the safety measures are in place. Next comment is from Myra Hernandez. I am a teacher. My husband is considered an essential worker, and we have a future Calexico USD kindergarten child. Getting vaccinated is very important to us as we have compromised immune systems. The three of us became seriously ill when news of COVID was growing severe internationally. Apparently, the test for this virus was not existent in El Centro, and we each tested positive for other viruses. Thank goodness we got better by the time the pandemic started. We don't want to repeat that experience with any potential exposure, which is why we've kept ourselves safe as much as we can since March. None of us have become sick since then. Now, we're waiting for our turn to be vaccinated. Thus, we are in favor of a safe reopening until we get vaccinated and protected from COVID. Thank you. The next comment is from an E. Herrera. He didn't state his first name. And he states, not in agreement to reopening until all CUSD staff is vaccinated. We are a K-12 unified school district. Next is from Claudia Mesa. My name is Claudia Mesa, and I am a math teacher at Aurora High School. I feel the need to specify that because I feel that sometimes we are simply another teacher on the payroll. I wrote to ask that the board please consider not sending teachers back to in-person instruction of any kind until we are all vaccinated and the effects of the vaccine have taken place. Doing so would put many people at risk in our community and homes. Personally, I have kids and parents who will not qualify to be vaccinated and who I could affect by acting as a carrier once vaccinated. I am sure this is the case for many other employees. I have seen my students suffer through COVID infection and losing their parents to this disease. I'm asking to please consider not sending teachers and students back until all teachers are offered the opportunity to get vaccinated and reach immunity. As part of the negotiations team, our main focus is safety for everyone. Teachers have already been going through a lot of stress and tribulations attempting to adapt, lesson plan, and provide the best instruction possible via distance learning. Again, as much as we would love to return to our classrooms and see our other kids in person, we must make sure we take our time so that it is safe to do so for everyone. Let's look at examples around us in nearby counties who rushed and then had to close again due to infection. Let's get our teachers vaccinated and do this right the first time. Next comment is from Mercedes Perez. We are a unified school district.
Perez.
Perez. Perez. We are a unified school district. Therefore, I believe all teachers district-wide should not be asked to return to their respective campus until all teachers have completed the waiting period after their second COVID-19 vaccine. Carmen Ramirez. Good afternoon, board members. The pandemic has taken my family members, friends, and neighbors. The loss of their lives will never be replaced. During this pandemic, we all have adjusted to a new life of taking care of ourselves and our families, and despite adversity, we continue to do our best. I simply ask the board to make a decision to reopen schools in the safest form possible. Since we know a lot more about the virus and more research indicates at this moment that the best protection is a vaccine, please allow all school employees to be vaccinated before we can resume in-person teaching. This will prevent further loss of life, pain, and suffering, which I have witnessed during these months. We owe our children, our community, and all of our school employees a safe working environment. Thank you. Catherine Villarreal. In favor of reopening our schools with appropriate safety measures. Classrooms must be cleaned every day by our custodial team and not left for teachers to do. Hybrid mode is not easy for teachers to do. District needs to be patient and provide teachers with all materials needed to work as hybrid. Most importantly, all teachers who want to be vaccinated must receive it before reopening. Veronica Torres. I do not agree in reopening until all CUSD staff certificated and classified are vaccinated. And the last one is by Darla Drysdale. Dear esteemed board members, district administration, and Calexico community, thank you for the opportunity to express my thoughts about school reopenings. Working with the district and supporting all Calexico Unified School District employees safely returning to schools is paramount. All employees that want to be vaccinated need to be vaccinated, twice depending on the vaccine, with the appropriate waiting period for the immunity stage to become effective before Calexico Unified Schools are reopened. There are volunteers to reopen their classes on site as cohorts to pilot reopening before all employees return. There are logistics that need to be addressed as to the process and ability to run smoothly. Please work with these brave volunteers and allow them to safely proceed. As always, I am available to you to discuss concerns and address any issues that arise from schools reopening. We remain stalwart that the vaccines need to be provided to all before any schools reopen to all employees. No amount of money from the state of California can justify the suffering and death of any of our employees. Thank you. Darla Drysdale, ACT President. That would conclude public comments.
Cito, there was one more that was sent to all the board members. I don't know if you want to read that one also as well, from Cristina Acosta.
Is it long?
It's not that long.
Do you want to read it?
I could go ahead and read it.
Go ahead.
Is that the
Is that okay with the rest of the board?
Yeah, I'm okay.
All right, good evening, school board members, Mr. Gonzalez, fellow teachers and community. My name is Cristina A. Acosta. While I am a teacher for the Calexico Unified School District, tonight I will be speaking as a parent of a 10th grader at Calexico High School and an aunt of 2 boys at Enrique Camarena Junior High. I strongly believe that it is time to reopen the schools in our district. I have heard throughout this entire pandemic that we should listen to science. Well, according to the science, it is now well documented that children ages 5 to 17 have a minimal risk of getting COVID and spreading it. In fact, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the National Academic of Science, Engineering, and Medicine, World Health Organization, and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention all agree that schools should reopen with precautions in place. Not only do schools need to reopen because of the science, they also need to reopen because of the loss of learning that has taken place, and more importantly, because of emotionally and socially our children are suffering. Suicide rates, depression, anxiety, and eating disorders have increased dramatically. I have seen this firsthand, and it is devastating. Tonight, I implore that all school board members and the district open all of our schools as soon as possible. Our children and students must come first. If they are our priority, there are no excuses to remain closed any longer. We should open 100%, no hybrid. Thank you for your time. Cristina A. Costa.
Thank you, Mr. Alvarado. And before we go into closed session, I want to thank everybody for their comments. Item B, comments, no. Item C, announcement of convening into closed session. At this time, we will go into closed session, and we will announce as soon as we are done in closed session that we're coming back. Thank you.